Hi, welcome back to another episode of 100 Apps, 100 Hours. I'm your host, Bryant, and today we are building something that I think is pretty cool. But here on 100 Apps, 100 Hours, we build your suggestions, your favorite apps, or rebuild a clone of some other app in 1 hour or less, or publicly fail, get humiliated trying. It was a lot of stress, I'll be honest with you. So the rules for this, number one, we have 60 minutes to plan and build an application, no more, no less. And number two, just use whatever you have at your disposal. So could be AI, could be past projects, whatever we've got. We're just trying to speed run through applications, and today we've got a cool one. We're going to be building a real-time leaderboard. So recently, as far as like April Fool's Day, we put out this amazing game to make you a Duckin' Pro at cold email. So it's called Duckin' Cold Emails. It's just a runner game where you face off against a sales rep who is sending you cold emails and pop-ups on the screen here. So you duck or jump, you get a couple of lives, and at the end of it, you can choose to play again, and you get a nice little score. So what we're going to do here is create a leaderboard for this, and riggedy jig, away we go. All right, so 60 minutes to plan and build. Hopefully we don't need all of that, but maybe we will. That's how this works. All right, so I usually like to start by mocking out the functionality that we need out of this. So what do I really want to happen here? When I play, I want to be able to submit my score, and if somebody else is playing around the world, I want that score to, and they get a high score, I want that to pop up. I want to see that. So we've got a real-time tracking of high scores. This is really large. Let's just trim that down. Real-time tracking of high scores. Submit a username and message with that, maybe. Maybe we'll make this a little more competitive in that we can talk trash to each other while we do it. What else is there, really? Display those scores. Display high scores. I'm going to put maybe sound effects. I'm going to put that in question mark. Maybe that'll be our stretch goal. So that's basically the functionality of this. Right? I don't know explicitly how long that's going to take, but what do we have as far as a data model? That's one of the other things that I like to map out. We've got some actual players, but I'm not going to have a user that needs to log in for this. I'm just going to we're going to do it NBA Jam style where you could just key in your initials or something like that. So I'm just thinking here, there's probably only maybe just a single table for this, which is rare for us on 100 Apps, 100 Hours. We're going to have a value for the score, a username. There's going to be an ID and a timestamp of when that high score was, and then maybe a message. That seems like it's it to me. I don't want to make this overcomplicated. All right, so I'm going to go into my Directus instance. This is totally blank. We're going to create a new table. We're going to call it scores. Can I zoom in on this? Yeah, there we go. We'll make it really fancy. We'll do the generated UUID. We've got date created. So this is a system field or optional system field that will basically, whenever this item gets created, it will pre-populate some stuff for me. So basically what it does on create of this, a record in this collection, it will save the current date and time. So we'll unhide this because I do want to see that. And then we'll add a value. So as far as the number of emails ducked, I can't duck half an email. So that's going to be an integer. Looks great. What else do we have? Maybe we'll make that half width. And a username. So got a sweet handle. Cool. And then we're going to have a message. So we'll just use the text area for that. The type is text, of course, so I could add like markdown or something for that if I wanted to, but we'll just keep this short and sweet. All right, so as far as our data model, that's probably it, right? It looks good. Getting on my toes here for this one. All right, so we got this specific application. It's basically just a Nuxt single page application. If I look, I got a single index page. There's an arcade cabinet component that is doing well, it's not really doing hardly any of the work. It's just presentation. It gives us this nice arcade cabinet and some text down below. And then we also have, these were my buttons I was trying the last time I was in here. And then we have a game component. So the library that we're using for the actual game here is pretty interesting itself. You might want to check it out if you are trying to build a game. Did we start the timer? Oh, yeah, we did start the timer. Okay. It's called Kaboom.js. A pretty interesting library, actually. Makes it really easy to build quick little mini games like this. Build stuff that's fun for your users. All right, so that's the meat and potatoes of it. You know, there's some sprites, there's some functions, there's a couple of different scenes inside the game, but that's what we got, right? So we've got our scores. Let's go about setting up our real-time connection. So Directus has real-time baked into the platform. If I pull up my other project that I'm actually connected to, you can see I have enabled my WebSockets here. And away we go. All right, so as far as the Nuxt application, I've just got a simple Directus plugin that provides me with a real-time client. That's really all we've got. I've set the auth mode to public, just so I've got, anybody can connect to this. Again, we're not going to make authentication required here. What I'm also going to do is the ability to read scores and push scores. Okay, so what else do we have? I think that's pretty much it, right? Let's dive in. Let's go to our arcade cabinet. Pull this up, right? This is our wrapper component. I'm not sure where I'm going to stick the leaderboard. Maybe up here at the top, maybe somewhere down here at the bottom. That we could just cannibalize this bottom section down here. I'll zoom out a little bit, but we're going to get started with the SDK and WebSockets. So we've got a great guide on the documentation for this. It walks you through this in great detail, but we're just going to pull this up. I'm going to pull that Directus client, Directus. I can't spell. All right, we're going to use the Nuxt app, use Nuxt app composable to get that client. And then what we're going to do is await Directus.connect. All right, so that will connect. And if we keep scrolling down, we can see that we've got a open function here. You know, if we just want to log that this was opened, we do this and we go back. And if I look in the console, should be getting a message that this was opened. Switching protocols. Not seeing any messages in here for whatever reason. Yeah, I don't see any particular messages, but let's keep moving on. We probably do need this Directus.message handler. Directus.onWebsocket.message console log events. What if we just log the entire event? Actually, that'll be a message. Yeah, same thing. Let's see what we get here. Do we have that connection established? Where is our connection? Why are we not seeing any messages through here, right? Okay, let's just add a subscription as well and see what we got. Oh, could it be our permission settings, right? Let's log in and see. Directus password. All right, so if we look at, nope, we've got access to that. All right, we've solved that problem already. All right, so let's just create a subscription and see if we get that. All right, so we'll go in and do Directus.subscribe. And we're going to subscribe to the scores. And we're going to get, we're going to pass some options to this. So we want the event to be create. The query. Do we actually need a query? I don't think we, let's not limit ourselves at this moment. And then maybe I want to add like a UID to this, and we're going to call this the scores sub. Description, Directus.subscribe. And let's see what we got here. Okay, so now I could see that particular message coming through. There's our subscription for this. So we're actually getting some data. Let's take a look and see if we open this up in a separate window. So we'll just open scores up. We'll create a new scores item. See if we get subscription for that. Yep. Okay, I see some data coming through. Great. So we are getting some data for our scores, which is good. Not sure why it's not showing the open function. Not really concerned with that anyway. All right, so what we want to do, just one moment, please. We'll stop the clock. Okay, had a hot call come in. We're restarting the clock. No extra work has been done. And I've totally lost track of where we were at in the process anyway. All right, so we've got our subscription. We can see that come through. You know, if we create scores over here, you know, 77. If we create these scores, we should not. We'll still see those come through, which is great. You know, we need to start working on our board. All right. So let's flesh this out a little bit more. You know, maybe we want to grab the, let's just work on our leaderboard first. That's what we'll do. We'll get some UI rolling for this. I'm just going to replace this down here at the bottom. So we'll just drop this text out. Great. Just totally disappeared. And then we'll do, let's add a heading for this. Be high scores. Class font mono. Font bold. Make this look really, really nice. Yeah. Text 2XL. Text center. Add some styling to it. See what we get. High scores should be white. Maybe we want all this to be white. Text white. All right, there's our high scores. We'll go in and add some padding. Oh, I don't want to pad that. Let's add padding to this. Maybe we do P6, P8, something like that. All right, and then let's do a list of our high scores. So we'll do a list V4 scores, 5 scores, and 7 scores ago. This will be grid calls 4, and then we'll just do, this is going to be our score. Let's say 5. These could be a span, I guess. I don't know what the rules are about putting a P tag inside there. Span, we got John Ross, then we've got the message, and then we've got a timestamp. 3 minutes ago. All right, let's see what that looks like. Of course, it's not displaying. Let's put that text as lime green. Make it lime green. We'll make them bold as well. We'll do font mono. Okay. All right, and then we probably got, well, actually, let's make this our header row, right? So we've got the score, we've got the user, and then we have the time. All right. As far as our scores, maybe we'll make those extra large. Score, message, time. Great. Good. Okay. So as far as our scores, right, we're going to need an array of scores. So let's go up and we'll just add that. So we got scores here. Get your scores here. There's an array of those particular scores. And how do we, on a init, we want to get those scores, right? So I could potentially fetch those via the REST client, but let's use put our heads together for this, and we'll just send a message, right? So let's create a quick function. We'll reuse the same connection. So we're creating a subscription there, but let's create get initial scores. It's great. And then we're going to do this where we say Directus dot send message. So we're going to send a message via the WebSocket connection. We're going to use the items type. We're going to use our read action. And then we have our collection of scores. We want to limit that to 10 scores. That makes sense. And then maybe we add, oh, I'm sorry, this needs to be wrapped in a query though. Limit 10. And then maybe we want to sort those by value. So we're going to get initial scores. And what? Okay. We'll just call get initial scores. Let's see what we've got when we open this up. So there's our data, right? Looks good. And those are sorted in the correct order, right? So let's add a handler for this. So maybe we add a UID for this as well so we can keep track of these. These are going to be the initial scores. All right, so if the event.uid equals initial scores, we're going to populate the scores.value with event.data. Is it just .data? I think it should just be this, right? All right, so if we open up our view DevTools, we go to Arcade Cabinet, we'll just see we've got some scores. Cool. All right, so now that we are getting those scores, let's just iterate through those scores. So we'll do the same thing with the list. In this one, we're going to add a v4. So that'll be a score in scores. Key will be the score.id, not scores, just score.id. And then we'll start populating. Score.value. Why does it keep auto-completing on me? Score.username. Score. dot message, and then the score dot timestamp. All right, so we got our scores. Those are a little huge, so maybe we shrink those down. And maybe this is actually, we want the score to be larger. Text XO. Cool. And maybe we actually make these small. Okay. All right. So I do have a function already, like a helper function in this. It's what's called get relative time is the function. It just returns like a relative timestamp. There we go. 8 minutes ago. Looks great. We got our messages. We got our username. We got our scores. That's great. So now if anytime we load this page, we're getting those initial scores. And, now we've got to, how are we going to submit our other scores? How are we doing on time here? We got about 40 minutes left. So we probably want to build a form at the end of the game to track those scores and allow people to submit them. But one of the other things that I want to do here is maybe we use a computed prop to show these as well. We only want the latest 10 scores maybe, or we could show the whole list. But then we're going to have to resort those scores as well. So it might be a good thing that the computer prop is for. So we'll do what? Compute const equals sorted scores equals computed. Oh, there we go. GitHub Copilot to the rescue, scores.value. And then maybe that's what we use to show sorted scores. All right, do we still get the same thing? That's great. Okay. Awesome. And what else are we going to do? Maybe we add just a little bit of gap Y 2. Oh, no, it's not going to be a gap. Let's do this where we do like a space Y2 below them. Do we need a divider there? Maybe we do add a divider. Class equals text lime 500. I don't think that's having the effect that I want. Okay. Regardless, there we go. We've got this function. Now we want to, whenever we play the game, right, we need to submit a score. So at the end here, I ducked 0 emails. Maybe we add another button for our actual scores. So we're going to go into the game itself, right? And what are we going to do here? We're going to add a couple things, right? We probably want to, the Kaboom library is based on Canvas, so we're not going to have like HTML elements there to work with. So I'm thinking we just like maybe show a modal. I've got this Nux UI library included in this starter kit for this, and I do know that they have a little modal component that we could pop up. So let's roll with that and see what we got. All right, so inside the game, you can see here's all our variables for that, but let's just init a couple of different variables up here at the top. We've got a maybe like a show form. That'll be reactive, and then we have like a, what are we going to call this? I don't want to call it score because Kaboom uses that internally. Maybe we just call this the player score. And we could use just like a reactive object for this instead of a ref. And so we have a value for the score. We'll set that to 0 by default. We've got a message for that. And we've got a username. So this is going to be the data that we submit when the game is completed. All right, so we'll scroll down. We'll probably need a submit function for that as well. So we'll do a function, and we don't have to use async here because we're going to reuse that same WebSocket connection, right? So we got submit score. Let's go up here to the top. We're going to get our Directus client. Directus equals use Nuxt app from that plugin. And inside here, let's do we do like a try catch just in case there are errors? Cool. We are going to submit a message. Directus send message. And here the type is going to be what? It will be items again. So we want to send to the items. We're going to do an action. I don't need to put that there. We'll do action of create. The collection is going to be scores, and then our data will be the player score. Okay. And then after that, we would not show the form, and then maybe here we'll just console.error any errors that we receive. All right, so that's the scaffold here for this. We're going to need a template for this, so we'll have to add that modal to it. So we'll scroll down. And then we're going to need to actually show that somewhere as well. So canvas. Let's go back into the arcade cabinet. Class PT. I'm actually going to do I need this? Yes. Let's place that here. PT minus, what was it? PT 24 pixels. All right, so I'm going to move that here. And can I just stick this modal in there? UModal vModel equals show form. And we don't want the overlay for this either. So let's do false on the overlay. And we'll say form here. All right, does that mess with anything on our game? I don't think so. If we go into our game, we should see this variable somewhere, show form. We can check the box, change that variable. Nope. Not updating it. But regardless, should be good. Okay. Why can't you edit that? True. Just always set to false. Weird. All right. Regardless, what we're going to do now is at the end of this game, we need to add a button to submit our scores. So we're going to find the end scene. Is it end? No. What is this going to be? Countdown? Let's just start countdown. Okay, so we're looking for the lose scene. And here inside the lose scene, we've got a restart button. We've got a text inside that button. So I'm just going to copy these items here. Come down. This is going to be the submit high score. Score button logic, just so we can comment. Let's call this the submit score button. Submit Score button. Is it going to be the same color button? Maybe we make it purple? I don't know what the RGB is for purple. Purple RGB. Let's see. Like a blue violet. Okay, we'll roll with that. Not sure that's exactly what I want, but okay. And then on the submit score button, dot on click, we want to show form. Nobody ever calls me. Show form equals true for the value, and then inside the actual text for this, we're going to say submit score. And that will be where we've got that restart button. We're going to do submit score button. .pos. Okay. All right. So if we did everything correct, hopefully this will work. And we'll be able to see the submit score button. Okay, it's now taking the place of our other button. But we need to fix that, so let's just move it out of the way. Submit score button, let's move it to the other side so we can see this is width divided by 4. Let's do the width. We'll just do the width of the canvas minus width divided by 4. Is that going to get us what we want? We'll just quickly lose and test to make sure. Lots of distractions on this episode as well. All right, so submit. We can see a form here. That's looking great. Let's wrap this inside a card. Card. Okay. And then we're going to build a form based on this. So Nuxt has this UI library, has some of these form elements. We're going to use a form group. We'll give it a label. What are we going to have for the label? We'll have the username. And inside that, we'll have an input. So input vModel player score dot username. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, that looks nice. So also inside this, maybe we have a submit your score. Font bold text Excel. Submit your score. We've got a username. And then we want to actually show the score as well, right? So font mono text violet 500. Uduct player score dot value emails. All right, so we're only showing that we ducked just 0 emails, right? So we're probably gonna have to fix that. Maybe we don't even need that actually. We'll just show you ducked 0 emails. Add some padding between these two. Just using space Y4, just a little helper class. All right. Is that giving me what I want? No, it's not. Something about the card. Space Y4. Okay. And then we're going to have another form group for our message. All right, we got our message. U input. That's actually going to be U text area. vModel. Okay. And what else do we need? We need some buttons. Submit. U button. Cancel. So we get 2 buttons. Let's make this size large. And this will be, let's wrap this in a div. Just flex them, give a little bit of gap between the two. And this will be a variant, what, like a outline maybe? That's good. P class. Okay, and then we're gonna, I don't know what happened to our spacing. Let's add that back. Okay, so there's our form. We've got submit score. You ducked 0 emails. The other thing that we're gonna do here, if we submit this score, let's just test it out and see, right? Bryant Ross, submit. Are we actually getting the scores? We are not getting the score. Is that score showing up though? If we refresh in Directus. Okay, so we can just see that score show up, but we're not populating that score to the scores array, which we need to sort. And then also, if we submit the scores again, you can see we've got the same message. So we probably want to reset the message every time. So let's just do this, player score dot message equals null. Okay, so whenever we score, submit that score, good. What's the other thing that we need to do, right? We need to iterate this player score reactive value anytime we increase the score. So here's a score plus plus. What we're going to do here is player score dot value equals the score. So after we iterate, we're going to plug that score, and then we need to actually populate our scores here as well, right? So if we go back to our arcade cabinet, we need another event handler here. So if the event.uid equals scores.sub, then we want to push that event data into the scores array, and that should trigger what we want. But this is actually going to be an array, so we can't really push that into the array. We need to destructure that. So I'm thinking this should get us where we want to be. Event data is not iterable. Let's scope this down. Event.event equals create. And this is confusing, right? Let's swap this out. Message. We'll change this over to message so that that is a little less confusing. Okay. So now we're seeing those scores populate correctly. Let's just give this a shot and see what we got. All right, we're facing off against John Ross. Duck a couple of emails. We'll close this out. We'll submit our score. You ducked 4 emails. This is going to be John Ross. Hi, guys. And we submit. And now we can see that score being populated automatically. So that's pretty freaking awesome, right? What else do we want to do with this? Maybe we animate it a little bit. One of the libraries that I like to use that is actually included in this one is vAutoAnimate. Or, well, it's not vAuto. That's the directive for this. But it is auto-animate by the fine folks at FormKit. So one line of code. You've all seen this before. You add logic to it, but this one, it auto animates for you, giving you kind of a nice UI. So if we try this again, test message, yeah, I probably had to refresh the page after I save it. But there we go. We've got our scores populating. These should be sorted in order as well. What do we have time left on the clock? We got 22 minutes left. We could go through and build a dashboard for this, but let's just kind of recap where we're at. We've got the real-time tracking of the scores. We've got to submit a username. We're displaying those high scores. Let's add some sound effects. Let's just test it out one more time, make sure this is actually working first. All right, duck. All right, got 6, 7. Let's just die right now at this moment. And this would be Bry Ross is my username. You stink, John. And I take my place on the leaderboard. Cool. All right, so calling that a win. Sound effects. Maybe we could go in and add those. I'm not sure you're going to be able to hear them though on this recording. So, as far as a real-time leaderboard, I think we're calling that good. That is finished. Pretty savvy. Where could we take this from here, right? We could go a lot of different directions with this. Expanding this for like user authentication, maybe pull in like a GitHub username, something like that. But I'm pretty comfortable with this. I think I'm going to button this up, and we'll probably actually ship this to the live version of this at directus.is/arcade. I think this will look nice with a leaderboard on here. So that's it for this episode of 100 Apps, 100 Hours. I think this may be the shortest episode yet. That's it, though. That's good. In and out. I hope to see you on the next one.